morning, and thanks very much for the invitation to speak today. I know that SHREC has been running very successfully for many years now, and that a number of my colleagues have attended in the past. I'm pleased to join you today in what is still a difficult and anxious time for the country, but nevertheless also a critical moment in our journey to net zero. I have responsibility within government for environment, climate change and land reform, and despite the very obvious challenges of the last year, when our lives have been upended in the most unprecedented way, we have nevertheless continued to make progress in these important areas. The First Minister declared a climate emergency in May 2019, and since then, the Scottish Parliament has passed the most ambitious legislative framework for emissions reductions in the world, to reduce emissions by 75% by 2030 and to reach net zero by 2045. Now, these commitments are underpinned, of course, by a legal commitment to a just transition where no one is left behind. And while the almost 2 years since then have not gone as any of us might have expected, we are nevertheless making progress towards these targets. We've halved our greenhouse gas emissions from the 1990 baseline, and in their Scottish Progress Report published in October last year, just 2020, our statutory advisors, the Committee on Climate Change, did note that Scotland has decarbonised more quickly than the rest of the UK and faster than any G20 economy since 2008. And they concluded emissions have fallen rapidly while the economy has grown. This is excellent news, excellent progress against our Paris-aligned targets, but of course we can't be complacent. In December last year, we updated the climate change plan with over 100 new policies and scaled up ambition of over 50 more from the pre-existing 2018 climate change plan. Highlights include a £180 million Emerging Energy Technologies Fund aimed at supporting the development of Scottish hydrogen and carbon capture industries, £120 million for zero-emission buses to accelerate the decarbonisation of Scotland's bus fleet, and a £500 million investment in our natural economy, with peatland restoration and woodland creation helping to enhance biodiversity, to create good green jobs, whilst also tackling climate change. Previous economic transitions, and indeed COVID-19, have already shown us how abrupt and unplanned shifts can exacerbate inequalities. Now more than ever, we need a just transition that supports sustainable economic growth and jobs, whilst ensuring individuals and communities are not left behind. Just transition principles are woven throughout the plan update, with fairness at the heart of our approach. And one area in which we've seen rapid progress is, of course, the renewable energy sector. In 2019, 90% of electricity came from renewable sources. We've embraced and been at the forefront of technology, as exemplified by the Highlands and Islands having been home to the world's first tidal energy array, the world's most powerful tidal stream device, and the world's largest consented tidal energy site. And at present, we've estimated that 8,000 people in Scotland are employed in renewable energy industries. However, the plan update confirms our intention to maintain the progress we've made in the last decade into the next, and this will ensure much more renewables development, meaning investment and jobs that will drive a just transition. While laying a policy pathway to our highly ambitious targets, the climate change plan update also responded to the economic crisis created by the pandemic by laying out plans for a green recovery to which this government is absolutely committed. A green recovery is an opportunity to take ambitious action that will deliver our transition to net zero across multiple objectives, strengthening our economy and protecting and creating new jobs to deliver well-being, resilience and a fairer society, whilst reducing our emissions and improving our environment. And one key example of how we're already moving to deliver a green recovery is through our £1.6 billion investment to decarbonise heat from buildings. And this investment will create up to 5,000 direct jobs in the next 5 years, while delivering warmer, better homes for people, helping to address fuel poverty and, of course, reducing emissions. And alongside our ambitious domestic work, Scotland is also committed to international cooperation. In November, of course, Glasgow will host COP26, We're very much looking forward to welcoming the world to Glasgow, in whatever way or shape that might be in November, and to delivering a COP26 which sets the world on course for a fair and just transition to net zero by mid-century. As a global leader in climate action, the Scottish Government wants to use COP26 as a platform to champion our conference themes of just transition and people and help to drive forward tangible international climate action. We'll use our role to emphasise the importance of inclusivity and global partnerships in addressing the climate emergency. We'll also use this as an opportunity to showcase Scotland's world-leading approach to climate change, strengthen our international partnerships and commitment to global cooperation in tackling the climate crisis. And we'll use our position as European co-chair for the Under 2 Coalition to further all of those aims. So thank you for this opportunity to discuss our work. While the government's work that I've outlined is highly ambitious and entirely necessary, addressing the climate emergency and meeting our very challenging targets must be a truly national endeavour involving action across all facets of society and business. Events like today and the work of Harper McLeod more generally is certainly part of this. So I look forward to further engagement over the next year as we work on implementing the actions from the Climate Change Plan update, revising and developing sector strategies to support delivery, and preparing for COP26 in Glasgow. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Roseanna Cunningham, the Minister there, for recording that address for us. David, you were listening to that. Some really interesting points to come out of that 4-hour conference today.
Yes, Nikki. And for me, the key message really was that Scotland wants to put its own stamp on COP26. I mean, it's a UK conference, but the Cabinet Secretary was emphasising the principles which are important to Scotland. She mentioned the importance of people and communities. She mentioned several times a just transition, and she also mentioned nature-based solutions. Scotland has led the way with its targets, and clearly the government wants to back that up with positive action. So I thought it was a really positive message.
Yeah, lots that we're talking about today that she's picked up on. And I think some of these points, as you say, people and communities, that just transition to net zero where no one is left behind. I guess these are themes that are going to come up throughout our conference today. We're just coming up now to 12:20. So I think it's probably time to crack on. Sadly, the Minister isn't available to join us live, but immediately after this section, we have set 10 minutes or so aside for your comments, your observations and your questions. So please keep them coming in on the chat box and we will catch up with them during that time.